Created with free version for non-commercial use.
Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about loops and iteration. So a loop is an instruction that repeats until a specific condition is reached. So for instance, at the end of an array or when a certain number is reached, loops are used to run the same block of code using different values each time. Alright, now there's multiple ways to run iterations in JavaScript and in most languages. The three most popular types of general loops are for loops, while loops, and do-while loops. Okay, these are general loops and they're found in most programming languages. So we're going to cover the general loops and then we're going to look at array-specific iteration with for each and map, and then we're also going to take a quick look at for in, which is used to basically loop or iterate through objects so we can get key value pairs. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with a for loop. Okay, so we're going to say for, it's set up like a function, and it takes in three parameters that are separated by semicolons. So the first is going to be the declaration of a variable, so we're going to say let. Okay, you always want to use either var or let. You can't use const inside a loop because it's going to keep changing. Alright, so we're going to set I equal to 0. I is used very common. You'll also see x, but you can use anything. And the second parameter is going to be the condition. So let's say as long as I, let's put a space here, we'll say as long as I is less than 10. Alright, so that's our condition. And then the last parameter is going to be an increment of I, so I++. Now I++ basically just means this, I equals I plus 1. Okay, so it's just going to add 1 to whatever I is. Now each time this goes through, it iterates, I is going to be increased by 1. Okay, it starts at 0, it's going to go through, it's going to be 0, then it's going to be 1, 2, and so on, up until this is no longer true. Okay, up until I is no longer less than 10. So let's go ahead and just do a console log of I and save, and let's see what we get. So we get 0 through 9. Notice 10 is not included because 10 is not less than 10. Now if we were to change this to less than or equal to 10 and save, then it'll actually include 10 in the loop. Alright, so we can do anything we want within the loop. For instance, if we wanted to log the string number and then just concatenate the I like that, we could say number 0 through number 9. Alright, now I'm going to show you a couple things. I want to show you how to break out of the loop and also how to skip an iteration if we want, or to do something else during a specific iteration. And these apply to all the loops, okay? For, while, do, while. But I'm going to demonstrate them on the for loop. Alright, so let's say that for number 2, when it hits number 2, we want it to say something different, like my favorite number is 2. Alright, so what we would do here, let me just comment this out, is we would put an if statement. So we'd say if, and we'll say if I is equal to 2, then let's do a console.log, and we'll just say 2 is my favorite number. Alright, and then actually I want this console log to be down here. Alright, so let's go ahead and save that. And if we look at this, we get number 0, number 1, and then it hits this if statement, console log 2 is my favorite number, and then it keeps going, but notice that it still does number 2, so it still fires this off. Now, if you want to do this instead of this, what you could do is use the continue. Okay, the continue statement. So we'll just say continue like that. So what that's going to do is it's basically going to stop the loop here and just go to the next iteration without continuing to go on after that if statement. So let's save that, and now you'll see there is no number 2. It's been replaced with 2 is my favorite number. Alright, so continue just means keep going with the loop. Go to the next iteration. Alright, now we also have break. And what break does is, as you probably guessed, it just breaks out of the loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if I is equal to, let's say 5, then let's break. Alright, so we'll go ahead and save. We get number 0, number 1, 2 is my favorite number, 3, 4, and that's it. It broke out. Alright, and you can do something here if you want as well. We can say console log, and we'll say stop the loop, and save. Alright, so you can break and continue. These are really important statements to know, to understand how these work within loops. Alright, so that's a for loop. Now let's take a loop at a while loop. Let's go ahead and comment this out, and let's go ahead and put in a while loop. Alright, so it's really preference on what you want to use. I tend to use for loops more. One general rule that you'll hear sometimes is that you should use a for loop when you know how many times it's going to run, how many iterations it's going to have, and then use a while loop when you don't, when it's unclear. But that's not, it's not always black and white. So how we set up a while loop is we set the variable outside of the loop. So let's say let I equals 0, and then down here let's do while, and then our condition. Our condition is the only thing that goes in here. It's not like the for loop where we put all that stuff in. All we want is the condition, which is going to be if I is less than 10. Alright, and then inside the while loop is where we do whatever we want to do. In this case, I'm just going to console log, and we'll just say number I. And then we need to do our increment here, so I++. Okay, you want to make sure you do your increment inside the while loop. Alright, so let's go ahead and save this, and we get, as expected, number 0 to number 9. Alright, so this works in this situation the same way that it worked with the for loop. Alright, so that's a while loop. Now let's take a look at a do while loop. Alright, now a do while loop is different because it's always going to run at least once no matter what. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to say let I equals 0, and then we're going to say do, open up some curly braces. In here we'll do a console.log, and we'll just say number I, and we're going to do our increment, and then under the do we do a while, and that's going to have our condition, alright, which is going to be I is less than 10. So let's save that, and we get the same exact thing that we got with the while loop. Now what's different about this is always going to run no matter what, okay, this do right here, even if this condition isn't met. So if we were to set this I to 100, which obviously is not less than 10, and we save, you'll see that it's going to run anyways. So we get number 100. Alright, so that's the big difference between a while and a do while, is that it's always going to run once no matter what. Alright, now I want to show you how we can use loops to loop through arrays.
Created with free version for non-commercial use.